Look, the quiet part got said out loud today. China is building its own extreme ultraviolet chip tool. Oracle just locked in almost $250 billion of AI compute. And everyone from tiny agent startups to Google is racing to put those chips to work with autonomous systems. Here is the thing. This is not about chatbots anymore. It is about who owns the pipes and who owns the agents that live on top. Hey friend, it is Thursday, December 18, 2025. The theme today is simple to say and painful to ignore. Infrastructure is power, and everyone just raised the stakes. Let me start with the geopolitical bomb. Reuters says China has built a prototype extreme ultraviolet lithography tool. Right, that is the crown jewel machine that only ASML sells today. This is not volume production. It will be fragile, slow, and probably insanely expensive to run. But the important part is different. A working prototype means China has crossed the line from sanctions victim to second supplier in the most strategic part of the chip stack. If you are building anything that depends on advanced nodes, this changes your planning horizon. Foundry risk used to mean, can TSMC or Samsung ship on time? Now you have to think in supply chain blocks. A Western stack built on ASML tools and a Chinese stack bootstrapped on domestic machines. Both racing forward, mostly incompatible, both hungry for AI workloads. For you, that means two very concrete things. If you sell infra or models, expect more pressure to pick a side on data location and customers. If you buy GPUs at scale, treat export policy like you treat interest rates, a board topic, not a footnote. While Beijing is working on chip sovereignty, Larry Ellison is quietly wiring money to the data center gods. Today, Oracle disclosed $248 billion of AI-related lease commitments. That is racks, power, and cloud capacity, all pointed at AI. People like to joke that Oracle is where software goes to retire. But this is not retirement energy. This is a bet that enterprise buyers want a third hyperscaler for AI, one that already sits in their procurement system and knows their databases from the inside. If you're an infra startup, this is the part where you quietly lower your valuation spreadsheet. You are not only up against the big three anymore, there is a very cash-rich dark horse that is happy to discount compute in exchange for long contracts. If you sell in the Fortune 500, this is good news. More supply means more room to negotiate GPU prices and multi-cloud setups, especially if your AI workload sits near Oracle databases. On the other side of the table, the model shops are lining up their own supply. Amazon is in talks to put $10 billion into OpenAI, with a commitment from OpenAI to use Amazon's Trainium chips and cloud. This is less romantic partnership, more joint custody of your inference bill. OpenAI gets a second deep compute partner, Amazon gets a flagship tenant for its custom silicon, and Microsoft quietly loses exclusivity on the hottest AI brand. For you, it means model choice will keep fragmenting by cloud. Architect your stack like that is a feature, not an accident. Use abstraction layers, or your infra team becomes a full-time negotiator. On the model front, Google dropped Gemini 3 Flash. Pro-grade reasoning at roughly triple the speed and better efficiency. The marketing line is smarter and cheaper. The real story is, we are watching the cost per unit of reasoning fall quarter by quarter across vendors. That is the connective thread to the agent boom. Cheap, fast models are gasoline for agents that run all day. Let me use the signal noise second-order effect lens on that agentic ecosystem. The signal? Autonomous AI is getting operationalized. Intelligence Co. is fielding an AI chief of staff that actually logs into your tools, reads context, and takes actions. Oregon is pitching an agentic OS for building these systems. Tinyfish ships a browser built for agents, not humans. Sierra plugs Gemini 3 Flash into customer service flows and sees double-digit jumps in recall and precision. The noise, everyone slapping agentic on a wrapper and calling it a platform. Titles are cheap, integration depth is not. The second order effect is the one that matters. Your stack stops being one big model with a UI and starts to look like a company full of digital employees, each with access, permissions, and a workflow graph. That means you suddenly care about things like penetration testing for agents. Fresh research on agent security shows a 41.5% attack success rate when they probed agentic systems. Think prompt injection, tool abuse, and data exfiltration that slip past normal model guardrails. If you deploy agents in production and do not have a formal red team plan, you are running unpaid beta tests on your own infrastructure. On the positive side, another paper shows a clean mapping between autoregressive models and energy-based models, which hints at built-in look-ahead behavior. That is a fancy way of saying the math community is starting to explain why these models can plan better than we expected, which feeds into better agents again. Today's quote of the day is, "World models are crucial for AI to simulate physical reality and capture non-linguistic experiences, a key step beyond language models." That is Dimis Hassabis on X. Translation: chatbots are cute, but the money is in agents that understand the real world. If you want more on that, there is a great conversation on rethinking pre-training for agentic AI in the TWIML podcast. The key takeaway is blunt. Benchmarks for chat are lying to you about how good your future agents will be. Train on interaction data and reasoning traces, or accept that your agent platform is another UI on top of a generic model. Have a tip or a story I should cover? Send it my way. The question I am sitting with tonight is this: if infrastructure is power, are you positioning your company to own some of that power, or are you content to be a tenant in someone else's stack? I am Teng Yan. This is Chain of Thought. Cheers, and I will see you tomorrow.